Happy holidays to everyone, but if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to you today.
Yep.
We also had the winter solstice for our heathens.
Holidays, and we are here to spread some holiday cheer.
That's right. So,
if you're listening on Christmas morning, thank you.
Wow,
you're like a true fan.
Unless they're not, they don't celebrate Christmas and they're like, I have nothing to do. I'm Jewish, so I'm just
if you
sitting
celebrate
around.
Christmas and you are listening today,
yes,
then that means a lot to us because that means we are more important to you than your family. So
yes,
thanks for tuning in.
You know what? You guys are more important to me than my family, except for my family that I like.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, not my other family, but there are people in my family that I would definitely say, I mean, it may be sad, but I would say that this is more important than them.
There you go.
So that's good. That's getting us off on a positive note.
So this is just a little mini-sode just to give you a little ear juice for the time that you're listening, because we know you hate when you have to go an entire week without hearing us talk. We hate it too, because we are making big moves in 2020. But before we do that, I think we should kind of give you a little 2019 review and tell you what you've helped build this year.
That's right, and especially our patrons. The biggest thank you to them, because a lot of the things that we did this year, in fact, the entire reason we had this podcast is because of our patrons.
Yes, they let us grow. Without them, we would still be sitting in a living room with that horrible sound setup that you heard, like episodes 1 through 30, 1 through 50. Mike Pence was the first episode we had our new equipment.
Wow, look at him. He got to have the first. Wow.
Yeah. But so thanks to all of you. Because of all of your support and donations and everything like that, we were able to upgrade our new equipment, which is what you're listening on now.
Hello. And if you don't think that this matters, you haven't been listening, you need to listen.
Listen to episodes like 1 through 5. Those were the dark times. Those were the dark ages.
That's why one day we're going to go back and redo our Marsha P. Johnson, because she deserves better than that episode.
She does.
And the Daughters of Bilitis, where I'm just like...
Which, by the way, the Daughters of Bilitis are our #1 Google lead. So not anytime, but most times people look up Daughters of Bilitis, they come to us.
Wow.
Don't know what about that page. Maybe there's not that much information on Google.
I guess.
Don't know really what it is, but hey, if you found our podcast through that, glad to have you.
You know, I listened to that episode a while back, and it still stands up. Like I was like, wow, this is going to be really rough, and like there may be 1 or 2 things that I would tweak, but otherwise I was like, this is good. Even though we did get criticized for making fun of the lesbian love poem, but we're also middle schoolers, so I don't know.
Yeah,
we also
our comedy didn't evolve past middle school.
It's true. We also think every time we say a year BC, Paul has to say, before cock.
I only said it one time. That was the first time
you
I
have
ever said that.
Literally said it several times.
Have I?
Yes, you have. Every time we have said BC, you've said something about a cock. Big cock.
Listen, back in those days, I used to drink every time we did a podcast. I've been doing the podcast sober for 30 episodes, except for today. All right. And last episode.
Sorry. Yes, that's true. But yes. Our maturity, our maturity has not evolved, but our knowledge has.
Absolutely.
So that's something.
Keep on learning.
So we had new equipment. We're in a new office, which was not paid for by our Patreons, but did we get this? Did I buy this desk? I don't know. Some of the stuff in here was paid for by our Patreons. We got our new artwork because of Patreons. We got some little things in here that are definitely. Oh, we have another piece of art that was given to us by Patreon. We bought a whiteboard and organized ourselves. Bought some flags. So a lot of the decorations in the office were paid for by our Patreons, and we appreciate that.
Yes, and we also launched our merch shop, which if you haven't bought anything off of there yet, and you want a little something, start off 2020 right, you can check us out at yourqueerstory.com, and our little shop's there. All the money we make from there goes right back into the podcast, just like everything else we raise. Yep.
Nothing's kept by us. We also, in the month of June, we raised money for PRISM, which is the Providence Youth Student Movement, and it's a organization that is for people of color, but it also has a lot of focus on queer people of color in Providence and young queer people of color. So we raised money for that, and that was through the merch shop, and that was through donations from Patreon. So again, thank you for that. That's how we gave back physically and financially in the community.
Yep. We produced 48 episodes, 2,000 minutes of content. We also produced blogs and social media posts, and our podcast was listened to in over 53 countries.
Yes.
So, hey, Welcome.
Wow.
Glad to have you. Thanks for consuming our 2,000 minutes of content, because that's a lot of minutes.
Yeah, that is a lot. And we didn't put it on here, but we started after our 1 year, which was celebrated in June, we started posting our script. So
that's right.
Now that's online. So like if you if you have a person who is deaf or hard of hearing, or if you just want a resource, like you can't sit there and listen to a podcast, but you need the resource, that's all published there. So you can use that for whatever you want.
If you're doing homework on a queer person, or if you're like decide to do like a report on a queer person, we have a lot of information that you can look into. Don't plagiarize, because your teacher can copy and paste and probably find our script. Actually do plagiarize, because then they can come and listen to our podcast too.
Direct more people to us through plagiarism, please. No, but the scripts are there. It's a study guide and as another way to get the information out there. So that I was really proud of that too, being able to post most of those. And so now we're talking about 2020, the year that everything's going to fall apart, because we're going to have a presidential election in America, and it's about us.
It's going to get wild. And not only that, like, it's 2020. That's the start of we're going to call it the 20s.
Oh, yeah.
You can think about the 1920s, you know?
I'm going to be starting a new career. Not sure what it is yet, but
Evan is still unemployed.
I am unemployed. I have a very big interview at the end of this week. And so I'm hoping it's a position I would really like. It is a queer-oriented position in social work, so I'd really like to get that. But I also have some other leads out there. Like, I think it's just I really am interested in this job, and so I'm kind of holding out a little bit.
Hold out a little bit, but also keep looking, because if something falls through with that job, you have backup.
Well, I already have like a backup job that I could go to if I want to, and then I have some other good connections still. So it's just this whole time of year, you know.
The end of the year is always wild.
Yeah.
So also in 2020, we have plans to expand with more interviews and guest hosts. We have a special representative coming from Wet Platinum Lube. They're flying them all the way out to Rhode Island to sit in our little studio and have a little conversation with us.
We're going to talk all about lube. Ooh, it's going to get wet in here.
It's going to get real wet and wild. Oh, no, that's a makeup brand.
Oh, no.
It's going to get real wet and slippery up in here.
That's right. Oh, and we're going to we're going to talk about a little bit of the history of lube, and we're going to have some questions for them, and they're going to talk about their product. And, Wet Lube was the first lube I ever ate. So real nostalgic for me over here.
There you go. I think I even talked to him about doing like a lube tasting, so that might happen. I don't know.
That would be great.
That would be fun, right?
It does. Their lube tastes good. It really does. And I mean, this is as a person who has had to suck a few dicks in my life. That was how I got through it. So thank you, Wet Lube, for that as well. So we've got some other guests too. I have a non-binary friend who is going to come on whenever they have a chance. They're a very busy individual. Of course, Vima will be back.
Of course,
absolutely. Everybody loves Vima, and we've got a couple other things. I don't know when it's going to launch, but for one of our villains of the LGBTQ, we're going to cover the IFB, the cult that I grew up in.
That's a good one.
That's going to be a good episode. We might have a guest for that one as well.
Gotta bring your sisters back. That's one of our most listened to
I know,
episodes,
people love that. Yeah.
They do.
So, so as far as the podcast goes, like we've got a lot of it. We're still sticking with our history, but we're just expanding a little bit. We also have our episodes planned a little more and organized around like the queer holidays and days of awareness.
Right, like World's AIDS Day. That was a flaw of ours. We kind of missed it, but it was because we stuck to our Wednesday schedule and we didn't plan in advance. So 2020, we're bringing it to you. We're doing it right.
I already printed up the schedule and I've looked through it, and like we've got like asexuality awareness week. We've got the different months. Like we might not do everything, but like Latino History Month, Black History Month, Women's History Month. We might not focus the whole history month on that issue, but we'll at least have one or two episodes. Right. I've got it all written out. Intersex Awareness Day, Lesbian Visibility Day, which Samantha and I got married on Lesbian Visibility Day. Wow, it's a weird coincidence.
Let me tell you, the skies were dark at that wedding. There was like a storm outside.
Jesus was pissed.
Jesus was real pissed.
He's like, "How dare you?" So, but yeah, so we're very focused on that. We're very organized this year.
Right, it's more about organized. We are also planning on traveling as much as possible and setting up booths at more Pride events. Of course, that depends on us earning money through Patreon or other fundraising efforts. But we really want to get out there, spread the podcast at some Pride events. We would love to travel. If you know people in a Pride organization and you'd love to see us, talk to them. I mean, we're willing to work on stuff. As long as we can kind of get travel and hotel paid for, we don't really need extra money.
Yeah.
We just would love to come and talk to you and meet you and visit your town, your city, your state, whatever.
We're not, like Paul said, we're not really trying to make
your country.
We're not trying to make any money, but we just need expenses covered. But we are trying to get, the word out there, and we do a lot with the podcast, and that's why we're moving on to becoming a legitimate business.
That's right. You heard it. We haven't decided on a name yet, but we are going to form our media company, and that's going to allow us to do more, to say more, to really focus on getting our names out, and not getting our names out, getting the podcast out there for people. We really want to help as many people as possible.
So our goal is to have an entire podcast and media network. So it won't just be queer focused. Obviously we'll have some there, but we've got a lot of things that we want to promote, or not promote. We want to help people, and podcasting is a good way to do it. It's a good way to get information out there. It's something we're familiar with, and it gives us opens the doors and avenues to other areas.
Right.
So sometime in January or beginning of February, we'll be launching our official legitimate business company. Yep. So we're going to be on the books and have to pay taxes and everything, and that's going to be so exciting.
Right. I know. Can't wait. Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So we really need your help, because now we'll have to pay taxes every year, but we'll be able to do more because we're a legitimate business. Right. We've been kind of hindered in things that we're allowed to do legally, and because we could get sued. So
we don't want to lose our houses. So.
Exactly. So in establishing a legitimate business, we're allowed to do more under the name of the business.
Right.
So that'll be good. And that has been paid for by our Patreons.
Yes,
and that helps us bring better content.
As we've always said, $1 a month really adds up, because our patrons donate anywhere from $1 to, some of them even donate $40, which you are. Thank you.
Because, yes, you've really been the backbone.
But every dollar really, really helps, because it has allowed us to grow. We've bought our equipment. We're now forming a business. We've been able to attend events. We've been able to do things and promote the podcast and continue to grow because of the people who donate $1 or more a month. So every dollar really does add up.
Yeah. And then for the final thing that we're launching in 2020, and something that I'm particularly excited about.
Evan has been the brains and the brawn behind this program.
As of right now. So we're launching, we will be, it is not live yet, the YQS, Your Queer Story Mentorship Program. So Paul and I, every week now, have messages, and sometimes several messages. This week alone, I talked to at least 3 people who reached out, and they had questions. And some of them are just very general questions about being out, being queer. Some of them, like one kid, I shouldn't say kid, one young person wanted help with a school project, and they were fantastic. They were able to bring some points to their school board about some issues that they're having with homophobia and transphobia and just queer phobia in their school, and they were able to make a lot of headway, so that was fantastic.
Yep.
But we also talked to a lot of people who are in in conservative environments, queer people in conservative environments.
They are trapped, they have nowhere to go, they have no money, and they don't know anybody.
Exactly. And if you haven't grown up in an environment like that, it's really hard to understand how limiting and how debilitating it is. It's not just that you don't have... It's not as simple as just leaving. The whole idea of I'll just pack up and go to New York City is not realistic if you don't have money to get on a plane or a train to get to New York City, if you don't have a place to sleep when you get to New York City, if you don't know anyone in New York City. So if you live in the Midwest or you live in the Deep South and you have nowhere to go, you're really stuck.
Yeah.
And so a lot of queer young people, when I say young people, I'm meaning between the ages of 16 to 25, are stuck without funds, without resources, and without any connections. And so the Queer Mentorship Program, what that does is it puts them in contact. If you reach out to us and you say, hey, I'm stuck in this environment and I don't know what to do, maybe you just need support and encouragement. Or maybe you have questions, just general questions. There's a lot of questions I had, that I had no idea.
Absolutely. You, I'm sure, had a lot. Even as a young gay male, what do I do if I want to have anal sex, anything. If you have any questions, don't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
These are all questions that need to be asked. And
exactly.
You need to know the proper answers to protect yourself and have a good time at the same time.
Yeah. Well, advice on just like, hey, maybe don't meet up with the stranger that you just met, you know?
Or at least have a friend that you tell, hey, this is this person's picture, this is this person's name, and this is the address I'm going to be at.
Yeah, this is where I'm going. Exactly. Because if you don't have any friends that you can be like, I'm going to go hook up with this guy, you know, then having the mentor there. And the mentor is, that name might change, but for right now, because the purpose of, if they're a minor, then it's just about encouraging and supporting them. There's not much that we can do. Right. Making sure that they're safe. If they're in a very violent situation, making sure that other organizations are aware so that they can help them. And the authorities are aware if there's an extremely violent or abusive place. So that's what the mentor. If they're over 18 though, then the mentor also provides support, encouragement, and advice. And they can help the people that are over the age of 18 leave that environment. And they help them by setting up the basics. Like they help them find housing and a job and understand how to open a bank account and save emergency funds, putting them in touch with local queer organizations and the queer community. And it's not like the mentor isn't giving them these things, it's helping this person. Like when you're young, you don't know how to do these things.
And you're not taught in school anymore.
Exactly.
Or ever.
You're not taught in school. And if your parents and the people in your life are not going to be helpful in you leaving, you need someone to be like, hey, here's what you do. Here's how you find an apartment. Here's how you apply for an apartment. Let me get this bank account set up so you can get some money there. Here's a good lead on jobs. Here is a local queer organization that helps queer people leave these toxic places. There's a lot of reasons why a person would want or need a queer mentor. And so that's what we've set up. So you can go ahead.
If you hear some crazy noise in the background, there's a cat walking all around things.
Yep.
So sorry about that. Yeah. And we currently have 13 vetted mentors in 8 states and 2 traveling mentors. We are working on growing that.
Yes.
And I'll let Evan talk about that. Growing that program.
Yeah, so these mentors are all people that grew up in conservative environments, so they have firsthand experience, and they are in, I would say, just about every region of the country we have covered. Like we have the Northwest, the Southwest, the North Midwest. So about every region. I have a contact in Canada that I'm also working on. And eventually we want to spread this to every state and even countries around the world. But right now, these are only people that Paul or I know directly, that we've vetted. So this is not strangers that we've opened this up to. These are people, many of them have even worked in social work before. They have some experience at a local organization. They all have experience in a conservative environment. Some have been kicked out when they were 16.
Yep.
Some of them ran away when they were 18. Others of them lived, they grew up and then when they were in their mid-20s and they were married, they came out. Like these are people with all different stories. But they know what it's like to feel trapped and afraid and have no clue where to even start. I could not have told you where to begin whenever I left.
Yep.
Like
and they all have experience on like starting with nothing.
Exactly.
Having no backing, no support system of their own when they started. So they have a lot of experience and they'll really be able to help these people who need help.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a great program. We're still working out some of the kinks. We're putting together a whole folder of information for the mentor. So this is very laid out, very detailed. And we've actually, even though the program hasn't launched, we have been able to get a couple people in contact. And that's kind of how it started. It started very organically with just like kids reaching out and being like, or not kids. When I say kids, I always mean young people.
Yep.
Anyone that's under 25 is a kid to me.
Evan thinks he's like 80.
I do. I talk. It's kids these days. It's like it's like Paul. He's 27. No, but when young people reach out and we've been able to be like, hey, I know someone nearby. Maybe you could talk to them because it's really helpful to know what your local queer scene looks like.
Right.
And
then like, hey, okay, I heard about this bar. Like maybe one day I'll get to go and just like, oh, maybe I'll meet some people. There's an event. Maybe I can go there. My parents won't know if I go. And you know, it just really helps to have to know that there is things that exist.
Exactly. And it's near you, and you don't have to find some magical way to get to LA or New York or Florida to be free. Like you could find something near you, and you could find some hope.
Like just even that little shitty bar we used to go to, Dick's Are You Crazy?
Yeah, exactly.
Like just having that there, like wasn't the best bar. Didn't really make any friends there, but you know what? I had
nice.
somewhere to go, and I could be myself, and I could be, I didn't have to act a certain way or worry about like, oh, I can't say this that way, or it was just a free place to be.
It was safe. Exactly. So that's the mentorship program. And so our goal is ultimately to be able to provide funds in emergency situations. Someone's been kicked out and they need a place to go. They left because, they came out as queer. I had a family member who came out as queer, and he was kicked out of his home, and he had to couch surf for several days, and they don't have food, they don't have transportation,
right? An Uber to the nearest shelter.
Exactly. If you're like, oh, get a job, okay, but how do they get to the job?
Right.
Where's the money for the bus pass? Where's the money for the Uber? And if you're young and you've never applied for a job before, you need someone to guide you through that.
One, you need somebody to guide you through it. Two, you need to know what to wear. Three, you need to know what to say or like what not to say. And you need, like Evan said, a way to get to that job interview. You need a way to have decent clothes to get to that job interview, to brush your teeth to get to that interview.
Yeah.
To have somewhere to sleep so you're rested for that interview.
Exactly. All those things matter. Where do you print off your resume? All of these things matter. And it can seem, if you're older, it can seem very obvious. But when you're young and you're scared and you've just lost your entire support system because you're queer, it is terrifying. And you have no idea what you're doing. And that's what the mentor does. The mentor says, okay, breathe. All right, let's go to the library. We're going to print our resume off.
Right.
Okay, here's a couple job leads. Go to these. All right, here's I'm going to send you some money for an Uber so that you can drive there. That's what it does. And so for a little bit, some of our Patreon funds are going to go to having an emergency fund. But eventually, that's part of our established business plan, is to be able to have an established emergency fund for things like that.
Right. And we will we'll run different campaigns to fund that, whether it's direct donations from people. Maybe we'll do like specialty shirts of the month, or hey, if you buy this shirt for this month, all proceeds go to this, or we don't have that sorted out yet, but we'll figure it out.
But that's what we're working on.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I've been working on this a lot, and I've got a couple more weeks to continue working on it, and then of course my schedule will not be as crazy as it was. And as for our Patreons, we're bringing more consistent content, and we actually mean it this time, guys.
It's been a year, but we promise.
Listen, honestly, no, as we become a legitimate business, we really depend on you guys' support. And as I have a better schedule and we're more consistent in what we're able to produce now,
exactly,
we can give you more consistent content on our Patreon as a thank you for donating and helping to keep the podcast and the business alive.
Absolutely.
And I think Paul's going to add some more things to our merch store as well.
Yes, I will. So, if you have any ideas, if there's something you want, just give me ideas. Hey, I would love to have a mug, or hey, I would love to have a beanie, or whatever you want. I'll make it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, we're going to add some more things on there. I was actually looking at your...
I would love to... Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I was looking at your favorite podcast's merch shop.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of good stuff.
They do have a lot of good stuff. So, I mean, if any artists want to reach out to us, we'd be willing to pay a little bit for some art, or if you want to donate any art, or, if you say, hey, I really like the idea of this mentorship program, I'll give you this art to put on a shirt as long as you donate the money to that program. More than willing to do that.
Anything like that.
Reach out to us if you have queer art, if you have queer music. We would love to play some music on the podcast by a queer artist if you want to get out there, Really reach out to us. We want to help the queer community in any way possible. Yeah, and as we were able to raise more money through fundraising and through legitimate sales, and not that our sales weren't legitimate, but through sales and through Patreons, we're able to purchase more of these things, because we've been wanting to, buy some more new art. We've been wanting to do all of those things. Yep. And we want to be fair. Like we want to buy it, but, we also can use the donation to raise money for these causes. So these are our plans. They are in place. Like we said, the business should be legitimized in late January. And then as far as when we'll start
opening our network of podcasts. We're not sure about that yet.
Yeah, we have no idea yet, but we'll work on it.
Maybe when we hit our 2-year mark in June, we'll have some better news on that. But at least we'll be a legitimate company, and it'll all be because of you guys.
Stay queer.
Don't get a lobotomy.
We love your allied hookers.
And a succulent sapphists.
Resist the oppressors, our proud homocrats.
Have yourself a sodomy circus and a sodomy Christmas.
And holiday.
And a holiday.
Goodbye.
Bye.